Hello YouTube, it's Lucas No here at Aesthetics Interactive Studios, and we're going to continue with our Blender tutorials. In this tutorial we are going to be focusing on duplications, smoothing and inserting edges. Just like where we left off with our last video when we were making our Nether portal, we are going to finish off this Nether portal, but we're going to do it in edit mode. So we're going to click on our portal, our bottom part of our portal, and we're going to press the tab key to go into edit mode. For those who did not watch the last video, I do recommend you watch the last video because it does recap on episode 1 on navigation around your scene, as well as selecting your object and how to extrude. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Like an indigestion problem or something. I don't know. I don't generally get those. But yes, what we're going to do is we are going to continue making our Nether portal. And this video is focusing on how to insert faces or insert edges, duplication, deleting and smoothing. So as we got a Nether portal here so far, we are going to delete these top faces here. The reason we're going to delete them is so we can join up our portal together without any clashes with our edges, or faces should I say. To delete a face, it's just like deleting an object. You press the X key and you can delete any of these. Unlike in object mode, the X key is to delete a whole object, and I will demonstrate that actually. If I go back into object mode by pressing the tab key, if I press the X key, it deletes the whole thing. But if I go back into tab, back into edit mode, and I press the X key, it gives me an option on what I can delete. Because when I delete the faces, we are going to click on, do not click on only faces. If I do that, it does do that, but sometimes it can be a little tricky. For example, if I just click there and click on, say, like edges, as you can see, the whole thing's gone. You have to know exactly what to click on. I generally just click on faces, so it just gets rid of the faces. Only reason I generally say faces instead of only faces, because I have had some experiences sometimes that only faces gets rid of most of the segments, and that can get a bit annoying, especially when you're working on something. But for a tutorial, it's no problem. But to select this object, because we want it to be symmetrical. There are many ways you can actually make this symmetrical, but I'm going to leave that for another time. Let's show you the other method of making this symmetrical and mirror. I'll show you that in another video later on if you're still tuned in. But we're going to go through duplication this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the entire object, and we're going to press the left shift key and then press the D key, and that allows you to duplicate your object. Now I could simply just drag it up like so, but the first thing we've got to do is, if you want it to be symmetrical, we're going to have to rotate it, and we're going to rotate it on its x-axis, which is the red arrow. As you can see down in this section here, you got this red line and it's got an X, and that represents the axis. So we're going to have to rotate it on that. You can go down to this box here where it shows the rotation, and you can click on that and you can rotate it like this. The only problem with rotating like that is you don't always get it accurate. To get it accurately, just press, you can either go up to this box here and you can change this exact rotation from here, where you can turn it around, but it turns around the whole object, so that is a no-go. Instead, we are going, because we got the first phase selected, as you see here, we are going to press the R key, then we're going to press the S key, and we're going to type in 180 or 180 degrees, so it's completely opposite. Now we've got to try and move that upwards. So we're going to click back on our translation button. We could move it up like this, but if you look closely, it's not connecting, so we won't do it that way. So what do? Using the translation tool, we can press the G key, the Z key, and maybe go up by 4, and then press enter. And now it is symmetrical. Completely symmetrical. And we're gonna come out of this by pressing the tab key. And that is how you make your nether portal. I did say we were gonna make a nether portal. I know I didn't do it in the last episode because my mind went on other things, but we now got a nether portal. We are gonna smooth this out because I said in the beginning we are gonna smooth this object. To smooth an object, if you were still on our last episode and you were still in your create tab here, you ain't gonna find your smooth here. Your smooth is actually in your tool section here, and you just got it here, and we smooth it. Now the object is smooth, but as we smoothed it, as you can see, it looks weird. As you can see, you got the polygons showing quite high here, like here. Ways how we can get around this is by going back into tab. We want to join these up together, so let's just select one face. We've got to join this up together, otherwise we're going to have a conflict in when we actually come to adding in our edges. Before we do that, like add in our edges, we're going to have to join this together. Because I've got a face selected, to join this object, just press Ctrl J. Sometimes it lets you select, but it just didn't want to do it for me. That's a strange one. I think that only works when it comes to just objects only. But we want to join these objects together. Let's see if we can figure that out in the meshes section. Doesn't seem to be anything there. If you can't find what we want, that's okay. We will do it another way. But we don't need it right now. But what we do want to do is try to fix this smoothing problem. To fix the smoothing problem, if you're still in your edit mode, then you're on the right track. So we're in our edit mode, and we're just going to start with the top first. To create edges, we have to press Ctrl R. And as you can see, you get this purple line show up. This is to create extra vertices for your object. And we are going to do the top and bottom. So what we're going to do is we're just going to left click, and then we're going to drag this up. Notice as I drag it up, you can see the top of the object, if I bring it down, becomes more lighter, and if I bring it up, the bottom becomes more darker. This is because I am moving the position of its shading. So we bring it as close to the top as possible. Not all the way to the top because it can cause problems on the top, but close enough, like there. And we click the left mouse button. We have brought that up to that, and as you can see, this top part is now nicely shaded. We're gonna have to do the same with the bottom, and we are gonna have to do the same for the rest of the object. You can do this if you wish, but I will be cutting down the video shorter while I'm piecing this all together to make it more smoother. So I will see you in a minute. Okay, so I have finished using the edge tool and to make the object smooth. Now, the reason we use the smooth shade for any object is to make it more appealing and more realistic. As you can see on the edges, it does look like it curves around the edges, even though it doesn't. So it's like an object has been curved, kind of like a camera. Like if you have any edges of anything, a computer monitor, a microphone, a desk, or a desktop computer, you notice at the top of them, primarily a computer monitor or a desktop, they are rectangular in shape, but they do not have sharp edges. The edges are actually smooth in a curve, and that is exactly what the smooth tool allows you to do. It allows you to make objects appear to have a curved edges. If you don't use the edge tool to smooth it out your object a bit, refine it, you can have some pretty nasty looks, primarily like with this section here. I didn't bother with the inside because it's just a demonstration to show you what happens if smoothing is not done right, and as you saw previously, it did look ugly, but now we smoothed it out, it looks more nicer and more smoother. This is also used in video games to make objects look more realistic and more smoother than they actually appear. Reality is they are not as smooth like a real bell or a cup. They are actually low vertices, just been given a smooth look to it, like a smooth shader like we have done here, in order to make it look like it's got a lot of curve and detail to it, but it hasn't. It's mostly all texture magic tricks. But this is what this video was here to cover, was how to smooth an object, duplicate an object, delete faces or delete in general, and how to use the edge tool. For those who want a recap, to use the edge tool is Control R to open up your edge tool. If you select a certain part of a body of an object like this, you can press either the delete or the X key and then select what you want to delete. Before I end this video, I will also show you the knife tool. The knife tool allows you to cut your own edges into an object. So for example, I could have it connect from here up to here and down to there again. To do this, just press the K key and this brings up this kind of purple line, and this purple line or this purple dot is your starting point for your edge. So if I click here, left click, you can see it's now dragging a line. If I bring it down to here and left click, you can see it is connecting. You can click anywhere you'd want with this, and I could bring it back to there, and then I could press enter, and I have now cut myself my own edges. The only problem with this sometimes is that if things aren't symmetrical, they can go wrong. There are other ways to use this to a better way. If I go back into the knife tool again by pressing the K key, I can hold down the control and it snaps onto sections. For example, I'll click here. Now I can snap it by using the control key, and it allows me to snap it in the center of objects, and I can move it like so, and then I can just press enter and have it done. The knife tool is actually very handy when it comes to certain things, especially if you're making something like a tree. You can cut out certain sections you want and extrude them to make them into branches. All these tools are used in the 3D industry. They may not be used primarily in Blender, and hotkeys or certain areas in different programs will have different names. Sometimes they won't, and but they will function the same way. If you are a Maya user or a Cinema 4D or 3ds Max or any 3D program, all the tools are basically the same, just different programs. So there is a familiarity for already experienced YouTubers or 3D modelers. I know there are some other YouTubers out there who do tutorials on Blender, like the Timster, Blender Guru, and Blender Cookie, and all these lot, but they focus primarily on Blender. Now, it is what I find a little challenging when making these tutorials is the fact that I have used other 3D programs. I have used Autodesk Maya. I have used Blender for many years. I have used Autodesk Maya for about 4 years now. And when you start using multiple software, sometimes you mistaken certain techniques and keys which don't always work well, because they all work differently. But we can save that story for another time. For now, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have enjoyed this video, you can like, you can subscribe. This tutorial focused on how to make edges, how to delete faces in the edit mode, how to smooth an object, and how to duplicate. I'm Lucas No from Aesthetics Interactive Studios. Thank you for watching.